Research shows that when we are leaning into our strengths, doing things that we are good at or that we love to do, that we're more energized, we're more confident. I don't think that's really a surprise. Today, we are talking about leaning into your strengths. So, if you have ever felt like you have more to offer, or maybe you're not quite where you're supposed to be, this conversation is for you. Welcome back to Dishing with Dr. Duer. Thanks for joining us today. Pull up a chair because we're about to dig in. You may notice that this is not my typical set. Not that I have one particular spot. I always do my podcast. But today I am really excited to be joined by one of my good friends, Dustin McNutt. He is the owner of Risk Takers Collective, and he is also my tattoo artist. And today we're going to try to have this conversation about leaning into your strengths while I get a tattoo. So we're going to witness firsthand Dustin doing his work of art uh, while I try not to jerk, flinch, or wince, right? Okay. So Dustin, thank you so much for agreeing to try this experimental conversation with me. So, like I said, we're talking about leaning into your strengths. And this is something that I'm really passionate about and something that I have talked a lot about in my actual day job. What's strong with you and where our focus is when we talk about mental health. But really, focusing on strengths is something that I think is really important for children, but for adults also. So I'm just curious, why do you think that so many people, even though we know that we thrive when we're leaning into our strengths, why do you think so many people still don't follow, not necessarily follow their dreams, but follow what their talents are?
I would say confidence. Confidence is like the key to pretty much everything, anything that you're passionate about, or even if it's yours. Confidence is the first thing that comes up with me.
Right. So I think that's a good point, because if you feel like you're good at something or there's something you love and then that's not really supported, I can see where that would affect your confidence in that ability.
Um,
How do you think you know what your strengths are?
for me personally,
Yeah.
I mean, I've always loved art. Art since I was a little kid. I didn't really think I was ever become a tattoo artist, to be honest. I did art more on the side, illegal graffiti and writing on desk and drawing on folders. That's how it started out. And then I didn't really have the confidence to go any further with it until I got older and until someone said, you should be a tattoo artist. And I finally took their advice and started practicing on myself. And even then, still didn't have confidence. And I don't think I gained confidence until about 2 or 3 years afterwards. And then the support of those friends around me, like you said, support to boost your confidence. And then they kind of one thing kind of led to another. And here we are today. You're sitting in my chair.
Very bravely, I might add. I do think that that is one way that we figure out what our strengths are, because it's things that other people notice in us, things that other people come to us for, or things that people value that we do. It's changed a little bit. People are more willing to kind of look at themselves. But I know when I was growing up, my mom would always say, we don't toot our own horn, right? People don't like that. And that's true. If you're walking around talking about how great you are all the time, people will get annoyed. But I think it makes it hard for us to also recognize when we are good at something. So having people around us that can recognize that or point that out, or maybe validate, like reaffirm, hey, I think I might be good at this, but I'm not sure. Having someone else point out and say, I think you're amazing, or you do really well at that, or way better than I would do, or whatever the conversation would be. So you talked about it took a long time for you to have the confidence to pursue like being a tattoo artist or really use your art for like making a living, right? What would you say are the consequences of like ignoring that gift, or not pursuing that gift, trying to do other things?
Passing up an opportunity. And for me personally, it became a sense of survival, and that's what ultimately pushed me. I had a bad car accident, and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to work outside of doing some of the things that I was doing. I knew tattooing was going to be easier on my body, at least for the meantime. But now my back hurts every day. But I mean, it forced me to, that's why I call my shop Risk Takers Collector, because I was a risk taker.
Yeah.
I took the risk and I jumped forward, and it's showed nothing but love ever since. Now for me, it's more spiritual. I know that I'm able to create with my hands because I was gifted that. And I want to be able to exceed anything I try to do. Like now I'm painting murals. I want to do more digital art because that's a big thing nowadays for the big companies.
You actually bring up a really good point. So there was a story that I saw not that long ago, and it was a dad, and he was talking about, because you said it's kind of spiritual for you, right? So he was talking about his sons wanted a PlayStation. They begged and begged and begged and begged to have this PlayStation. And, those were really expensive. He bought it for them for Christmas, and they were obsessed with it. They played with it constantly. They loved it. But about a week later, he noticed that they weren't on it. He didn't notice them playing on it. And so he ended up putting a rid of him and Kia, and he asked them, like, where is, or it was a VR, whatever. But he asked them, where's the headset? And they were like, oh, I don't know. I don't really know where we put that. Like they had lost interest in it. They weren't using it. And he got really upset. That was expensive. I sacrificed my time and my money, to provide that for you. And you begged and you begged and you begged for it. And now you don't even know where it is. And then he kind of, I don't know if I'm ready, but I have to be, right? Here we go.
Like where it is though?
Yeah, I think so. Like that.
Love you most.
Yeah. This is a mother-daughter tattoo that we're doing. So but anyway, he said, how do you think our Heavenly Father feels when we beg and beg and beg for a gift, and then we're gifted, a skill or something, and then we don't use it? And I think about when I've been in maybe other jobs or other positions where that just really wasn't my gift. And I definitely wasn't fulfilling my potential. And I think it can also, like, spiritually, it can dampen your soul if that makes sense, right? Because you're just not where you're meant to be. What were you doing before you started doing art for a living?
I was painting cars, so I still was kind of doing painting cars, and then I did carpentry work too. Built cabinets in people's houses, and then doors and exterior doors. I was doing a little bit of, a little bit of art, I guess, with painting cars. And I just tattooed on the side. I didn't really take it as serious as I do now.
Right. How have things changed? Like, what's different now that you're kind of leaning into what you feel like you were meant to do?
I feel like I want more, but not like in a greedy way. I feel like I want to help more people with it. I had somebody that I tattooed the other day who's a part of a motorcycle ministry. It's asking me getting closer to God, and I helped my dad get closer to God before he passed away. I felt like I'm able to tap into a group of people that don't normally get reached by pastors. But anyways, the guy told me that that initially is I'm able to reach people that preachers don't.
Right.
And I guess that's what I mean by wanting to do more with it. It's because I want to turn it into the ministry.
Yeah.
Help people find God.
Well, and even like along those lines, so actually Dustin did one of my first legitimate tattoo, my first good tattoo in honor of my brother that passed away. It's a phoenix feather. In a way that's helping. You probably help a lot of people that are dealing with grief or dealing with new beginnings or, memorializing special moments. I think that's a really good way to look at using your gift for more than just making money.
Making money is great, and it really is. I mean, obviously, this is my livelihood. It's how I take care of my family. But like you said, and that's what I was going to say, is, I was helping people put something behind them or a new beginning. For example, I haven't had to see her in a while, but there is this autistic woman that for her 18th birthday, she came and got a tattoo by me. She was very quiet, and ultimately her parents would talk for her. She didn't talk a whole lot. And after she got her first tattoo by me, it built her confidence up. And now She come to get tattooed every few years. She had a job, she had a boyfriend. Her parents thank me and like hug me every time they see me. They say I've done so much help for her just by putting ink on her body. You know, something to me, it's something I do every day. But I changed this lady's life. You know, gave her confidence. And I think that's pretty cool. You know.
Yeah, it is. It's very cool. Oh, okay. Well, that's a little tidbit right there.
Yeah, we're for
A little bit. What were we talking about? So I'm curious too. Something I'm really passionate about. Like we talk about mental health, and I talk to a lot of educators, and we've talked about my son before. Definitely has ADHD. I think we've talked about you also have ADHD, and sometimes kids like that are not very popular with their teachers in school, and so I talk to educators all the time about looking for strengths and finding strengths in students or people that are not traditional, right? Like I was great in school. I liked straight rows. I liked independent work. I liked quiet. Um, so traditional public school was totally fine with me. But it was really challenging, like for Carson. Was that your experience also?
I would say so. Sorry, come off. I was trying to thought there.
Okay, we're doing two things. I'm trying not to tense up. I just feel like a lot of the things that are strengths for him, like thinking outside the box and doing things a different way and asking tons of questions, those things really serve him well in other areas, but they weren't always appreciated or encouraged for sure. So, do you think that sometimes people's strengths get stunted or discouraged because they don't appear to be productive or they don't appear to be traditionally valuable?
I think that's yes, because I had a lot of people tell me that I was that amount too much. You know, I was always getting in trouble. It was hard for me to learn, having ADD. And then even when I started getting into tattooing, I had people tell me all the time, "Oh, you're not ever gonna make any money tattooing. And you're gonna make any tattooing." And for a little bit, I kind of believed it.
Yeah.
Why didn't I kind of set it aside? I mean, I was already tattooing like 4 or 5 years, like just as a hobby. It's don't recommend, by the way. And didn't think I was ever going to get anywhere with it. And then finally, when I was like forced to, and that's what that was for me personally, I was forced to figure something out. Yeah, tattooing became it. You know, it was no option. Like I'm gonna get good at this. I became obsessed with this. Eat, sleep, foods, tattooing, and drawing. And I just wanted to make sure that I was learning everything along the way, and even still now. You know, you just because you get good at something doesn't mean you should stop learning.
Do you find though that because you love it, that it's easier to want to learn or want to pursue excellence? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, that definitely does.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead, Marina.
So there's a quote that I think is really relevant, but I think it's really powerful. And I'm not sure who it's attributed to. A lot of people say Albert Einstein, but there's not any real evidence of that. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its life believing that it's stupid. Fish are not meant to climb trees, though. So that's not what they should be judged on, right? So when we're not in our element, I guess, then it can lead us to feel like we're not valuable or we're not as good as we could be. So when you're tattooing, what is it like when you're in your zone? Like, this is what I love to do.
Purposeful.
Yeah.
Growing up, trying to find that purpose was hard. I mean, I'm sure it's like everybody in Israel. You know, you're wondering what are you supposed to do? Even like when you're doing something, like, am I really supposed to be doing this?
Yeah.
But I know for a fact, without a doubt, in my mind, that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. It's creating and changing people's lives by altering putting
Yep.
permanent ink on them. Yeah, being in my zone, it feels great. It feels like I'm on top of the world, but I'm also like I'm grateful, but I try to be humble about it. Like
Yeah.
I know where I started, I know where I came from, I know those who have taught me. You know, I'm grateful for all those things. I mean, being purposeful and grateful.
Yeah.
Is what I'm feeling as you ask.
I would agree with that. Growing up, both of my brothers were special needs for different reasons, and advocacy became really important to me. And when I am able to speak to a group of people, whether it's educators or parents, and really share knowledge that I think will change the trajectory for a child or a family. I'm so energized by that. I leave just kind of like you said, like on top of the world, like I made a difference using the gifts that I was given, which mine are not, definitely not art and maybe not being brave, but I can talk to people.
Hey, that's an art. You know, you're able to help people by talking with them and getting them to feel better about themselves and open up. You know, and
But I get so much joy out of that when I'm in my element. One of my favorite things to do is when someone comes to me, these are things we need and we just don't know what to do. And I'm like, I know the perfect place, or I know it's the person you need to talk to.
do that.
Yeah, I did it. The relief, right? And I'm far more no. I'm far more happy when I'm in my element than when I'm doing other things that are not so much aligned with what I'm good at, right? Okay, so for the audience, I don't know if you can see that, but do you want the story behind my newest tattoo? My daughter Chloe plays softball, and every game she finds me in the stands and she gives me the heart hands. And every day I text her, I love you most. So we have heart hands, and I've got her handwriting, love you most, and she's going to get the same thing on hers.
Cute AF.
We are about to switch spots. I'm really proud of myself that I didn't cry, and we mostly had like semi-coherent conversations while we did that. So before we sign off, what would you give as advice for someone who maybe has not had the confidence or has not been brave enough to really lean into their strengths or things that they love to do?
I would say do it by yourself, and you know, prove to yourself that you have the confidence. Take that leap. I don't think it's hard to have that first initial push, especially when you don't have any support. You know, that's a hard one. And so there's multiple advice you could take. You know, do it by yourself, build your confidence up to do it in front of people, or
Do it for you.
do it for you. Exactly. Do it because you love to do it. Do it for fun. Don't do it to try and impress anybody. It's like you said, do it for you.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right. Maybe the question isn't what should I be better at? Maybe it's what am I already strong at? And how can I grow in those areas? So thank you for tuning in to Dishing with Dr. Duer with this very non-traditional setting and conversation that we just had. I hope that this was a positive conversation for you. And if you're out there and you feel like you just haven't quite been living up to your purpose, or maybe you haven't taken that leap to really lean into the gifts you've been given, I hope this has been encouraging to you. And please, 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 if you are in the position to influence a child, encourage them in what they're good at, in what they love. Help them find how they can align their goals to their strengths. You can change the trajectory of their whole life. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Please give us a like, give us a comment, and most importantly, please share with someone that would also benefit from hearing these words of advice. That's it for today with Dishing with Dr. Duer, and thank you so much for sticking with me. Have a great day.